I'm Jack Rickard, and this is EVTV. I'm here with my compadre and consigliere, El Breno Noto, on a Friday.
It is.
December the something.
December the 16th.
16th. Oh, all day.
So right prior to the holidays, full metal holidays coming up here in a week or so.
Ho, ho.
Oh,
Do you know why Santa is such a jolly fellow?
I don't, but I know I'm going to find out here.
This old man has got the home address, probably the most accurate home address of every girl in America who's been bad.
Oh, he's got the database, huh?
The ultimate database.
He's got the ultimate database.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, no wonder he's so damn
What are you
happy.
bringing there, big guy?
Well, actually, the UPS driver showed up this morning when I was over at our alternate office, and you managed to finagle some wine. You wrangled about 6 cases from some poor unsuspecting yuck.
That is poor unsuspecting Glenn, who has now educated all his children on my checkbook. But every time the guy calls, I swear I'm not going to have any more.
Any more to do with him?
Right. Except he's really good at chasing down really good wines that are really quite hard to get.
Yeah, and he found, and this is a Washington blend from Quilceda Creek, and I'm actually kind of fond of Washington wines right now. They do a cab that is a couple $100 a bottle. This is their blend, Red Mountain and Horse Heaven Hills.
Oh, wow.
And this is Cab, Merlot, a little bit of, I think, Cabernet Franc and Malbec.
So this is like their Bordeaux blend.
This is like their Bordeaux blend, but they're a very, very famous winery in where all the good fruit is, down in the southeastern portion of Washington State.
Columbia Valley. Pronounce that, Quilceda Creek?
Yeah, Quilceda Creek, yeah. But man, that has got...
That is jammy.
Yeah, and this has got nice oak too, and yum, vanilla.
Little leather.
Yeah, a little leather. Oh. Tobacco box, cigar box,
yeah.
cigar box.
And I hear I quit smoking.
You quit smoking. Now you'll be able to taste cigar box.
That would go great with a Camel.
Or at least or an alpaca.
What do we got going this week? What do you got in news?
Well, actually, I don't have a lot of news, but you know what I thought? I thought that Santa always needs a helper. And so I'm going to put on my elf hat.
You're like the little freaking elf, huh?
I am, and for
The EV elf?
our Jewish friends, I brought a little bowl and a dreidel that I never was too good at. I don't understand the betting game with the dreidel because I don't understand the 4 letters. But I guess everybody needs a dreidel and a bowl, you know, and an elf hat. And I think Hanukkah starts before Christmas, I think on the 21st anyway. So what I decided to do was bring some ideas for Christmas gifts. For people out in the EV community. Now, they're not all electric vehicles, and they're not things that you can even get sometimes. But an interesting thing happened out there. Google, this is the patent for Google's driverless vehicle. And so
They have patented a driverless.
they have patented a driverless vehicle, complete with reference number here. It is the a transitioning a mode mix vehicle to autonomous mode. So I don't know if that's going to be available soon, but I'm thinking our viewers might someday want a...
If somebody does invent it, Google wants to have a patent
Google
on it.
wants to have... They've already got the patent on it.
Cool.
Let's see, what else do we have here? You know, and I'll give you the URLs, but you know, I don't know when these are going to come out. I've always liked the DeLorean. We talked about it before. You know, they're doing a composite body for the DeLorean. I was in California when the DeLorean was out there, and you could always tell the DeLorean because it followed the white lines down the road. You know, so you could always tell one. So I thought you might, maybe not for Christmas this year, but you got to think about next year.
Yeah,
you know, the heavy equipment calendar from Germany. We'll have to show them some of the shots of naked heavy equipment here, and you might, you know, think about that for the
Heavy equipment calendar.
Yeah, think about that for you know, something maybe for Christmas for the EV person that has everything. I guess Ford went into production with the Focus. They started this week.
The last known home address of every bad girl in
Every
the country.
bad girl in the country, isn't that good?
I like that.
What else we got? You remember Nathan Myhrvold from Microsoft, the Chief Technology Officer?
Yes.
Yeah, he has a cookbook.
Nathan Millwall.
It's a $450 cookbook, the most expensive cookbook that I know of. 6 volumes, all molecular cooking, the art and science of cooking from Nathan Myhrvold. Wow. And anybody that can write a $450 cookbook, I'm going to have to, I guess, get it. And you guys might want it too. It's supposed to be crazy. It's supposed to be absolutely nutty stuff.
Huh.
I thought maybe the M-Pulse from Bramo, the motorcycle. We like Bramo. They're doing some pretty good stuff. Maybe we can show them a picture of that one. That's their race bike that is really getting some great reviews. Let's see, what else? In German, I guess, this is from Motor und Sport. I guess Honda is saying that they're going to do a electric vehicle in 2013 based on this concept car that almost looks like...
EV Stir.
Right, the EV Stir, yeah.
It's maybe not here in the U.S., but they are saying they're going to produce this car.
That's what, and it looks
and
cool.
It's a very cool looking, very modern 2-seat roadster. LEDs akimbo.
Yeah, and kind of what we were talking about with
We'll put up a photo of this thing.
kind of like we were talking about with the same design, kind of the 818, which our viewers may be able to get a hold of, and we might be able to do a project, and they could buy it for 10, 15 grand and get it done.
We've
bicycle.
never gotten David Smith to actually speak to us, have we?
No, we haven't.
He just doesn't do that, huh?
No, we're supposed to have somebody on the inside. I guess we'll see if how inside our inside guy is.
Maybe we'll just do our own and call it the 717.
We'll make it even lighter.
A little lighter.
There is a 2-wheeled bicycle here that uses that. I kind of like the design. It uses the headway batteries, I think, and the motor, and it looks like an old motorcycle. The way they made the batteries look like the jugs, and the motor look like the kind of the crank.
James
box.
Delgado is sending us 24 of the new headway HP cells.
Okay.
This is an 8 amp hour, not their largest energy density, but good power output.
Okay.
Analogous to the A123 cells in a red cell. He's got them to color code the cells by power.
By power, okay.
Like red, green, and blue, and so forth. So he's says he sent 24
that is
of
nice.
those. That is good wine.
Isn't that?
24 of those for us to test. I've announced on the blog that we're going to already retire and abandon my module. And I've got another idea for a model.
Yeah.
Module. Yes, I have spent some time.
Yeah.
And I hate to abandon it. It's basically...
But we know when to abandon things. Abandon
we've
ship,
gotten
Captain.
it down. I can see how it'll come out. It'll be fairly volumetrically nice. It'll weigh about what we're doing, and it would cool very well. But it's going to be like an automotive battery. I have to still do some further work on this strap here that binds them. And I've got a negative terminal here and a positive terminal here. Now I can run these up and over or whatever you need to do. And it might have some merit, but I'm thinking that mostly we're in an aluminum box looking down from the top.
Yeah, that's our best format. Is looking
And
down.
so
on the
I think
top.
we're going to stand these up and use little plates. Several of our viewers have suggested this, little plates and screws to actually march the tabs down a line.
Okay.
And I've kind of figured out from this urethane casting that we could do one block of urethane with the inserts in it, and the other one out of aluminum with threaded holes.
Oh, okay.
And kind of alternate them going down through to get our series and do them 6 at a time or 5 at a time, whatever you want, in parallel.
Okay.
And just kind of a linear stand-up battery.
Okay.
Probably have to put some kind of chill plates between them, heat sinks, aluminum plates.
Something, okay.
Of some sort. And then that could go down into a box. So we're going to put some effort into machining that and seeing what I can get that to come out like.
Okay.
I think it would just be a more usable format than this. And so that's where we'll go with it.
GE put the Watt station for sale on Amazon.com.
Have one on order.
You do have one on order. I figured you wouldn't miss it.
It's already coming.
And I do have to say, it was early Christmas for everyone in the EVSE business. I mean, 2011, there was a lot of money going out. All you read about is level 2 stations going out there. And I think that they've had Christmas all year.
I think they better enjoy it.
I think that's what I'm
It's
thinking
gonna be
too.
bloodbath.
When Christmas is over, you're
Peter
bummed out.
McQuaid got beat out of $700 or $800. He found a very cheap EVSE station.
Oh,
And then the guy never sent it. Well, you can be very inexpensive if they're not going to.
If they're not going to send you the thing, you can be cheap.
We learned from EV components with now current EV tech.
Yeah.
If you're not going to send the stuff, it's easy to offer
that's
at a
a
very
that's a-
attractive price.
That profit margin's pretty good if you don't ever send the product.
$1,099 for the GE1 station. Now, I showed you how to make one, but by the time I get everything in there, it's $800-900.
$800-900. This you can just.
And so that's about the level of it. But that's very different from the $3,000 or $5,000
that they started. They got real.
And I'm not talking about commercial heavy duty things. I was talking about home.
Just the one on the wall for the
EVSE.
home. Yeah. Yep.
So as far as our battery module, things are kind of a reiterative process, and I've been talking about this on the blog. I don't get discouraged. We enjoy working on the cars, and we have setbacks all the time.
A lot of stuff doesn't
A lot of
work.
stuff just doesn't work.
If you only knew.
And some stuff like this works.
It works, but
you can see
gotta-
it's a dead end.
It's got to be different. Go in that direction. Yeah. Just got to back out and
this
try
will,
it again.
This will actually work. I can
Yeah.
get this down where this looks beautiful and works great and is very inexpensive and is cooler than anything out there. But it's kind of a dead end because they're always going to be hard to put in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, with the two sides having terminals, that's a. Yeah, what was that? The GBS batteries were like that.
Yes,
yeah.
they were.
Yeah, and that made them
I
tough.
don't know. We may not. But my point is, it's an iterative process, and we've got some followers who view the world as being a function of brilliance, and I've mentioned on numerous occasions that this is not. Genius is not even particularly an advantage. I'd rather be lucky than good. How many times have you heard me say that? There's a reason I say that.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that the school system has taught them to the test, and they just are told they're brilliant, and my God, the first time they fail, they just fall apart, not knowing what that failure meant.
No, and that's the other thing I put on the thing. There are no forensics in success.
That's right.
If you
don't-
succeed,
that's life's idea.
you're never going to figure out why.
Yeah, what the hell happened?
You're going to think you know, but you'll know wrong.
Right. You'll never
But
know.
in failure, there's always tracks and
Yep.
so forth.
Yep.
And and of course, we applaud any effort in alternative energy for personal transportation. I want to put up a short video that brought me to tears this week. I mean, these guys are my heroes.
Who was
They're,
this?
they're not doing electric vehicles. And as you know, I don't think the hydrogen thing is a big play. And I'm not real keen on the natural gas. I think electric vehicles is the logical thing. But that does not necessarily shut out all other efforts.
Right.
For example, the compressed air car, I think is kind of good. But this one I think you're really going to like. These guys have developed a jet-propelled car that runs on Mentos and Coca-Cola. Take a look.
We're rolling.
Rocks the house. Oh yeah. Rocks the house. The house.
That was pretty awesome. Not bad. Yeah, that's clearly further than the last time.
Rocks the house. The house. Rocks the house. The house. Rocks the house. The house. Rocks the house.
Oh man, that gives you great breath just thinking about
Now,
it, doesn't it?
It
Little
does.
Mentos
Now,
and a sugar rush.
I said it's kind of an iterative process. But as each of their experiments went further, I showed the early experiments because that's where the failures
That's
were.
where the fun stuff
They're
is.
now in their Mark II version. They're up to 239 feet total range.
There you go. You
Still
gotta
a little
love
range
that.
anxiety, but we're talking Mentos and Coca-Cola here.
Hey, there are some people, that's all the range they need.
That's
239
all American
feet.
producers.
That's right.
Mentos and Coca-Cola.
That's right.
239 feet. Where are you going anyway?
That's right.
And who
Why?
knows where that will lead. And so for our friends at, I think it's EP Bird is where they do these Mentos Coke experiments. You hang in there, guys.
That's
and
right.
keep
Don't-
after
don't
it.
stop.
Don't let a bunch of pencil necks tell you
Yeah.
that's not a practical car.
Yeah.
Because you can show
You
that.
never know.
So Mentos and Coca-Cola.
All I've been looking for is a fresh Twinkie.
Yeah, I know. I know they want to see the Escalade, so let's torture them with the Swallow some more.
Oh,
We
okay.
got our motor in.
We did.
Yeah,
And
show
it
me
was-
your motor adapter assembly thing. here.
Okay. Yeah, we got all that back. Let's go.
Braintosaurus.
Hey, motors, a GAC.
Heard from Bill Bishoprick, the guy
I-
that built this
I
car.
saw that.
Sent an email. He's following the rebuild very closely.
I saw
Says
that.
it's about time it was updated.
About time it was updated. I know it is about
Since he
time.
built it between 90 and 95.
And look what we,
Here is this ADC
we found
motor
an issue.
that we can turn up to a point.
Yes, it's not good.
It's not good, is it?
I don't know what it's hitting, but it is hitting something. It might not be
Brush
bad.
or
But
something.
yeah, I didn't take it apart. It's,
We'll take it apart and rebuild it or something. Put it in a lawnmower.
there you go.
We were going to upgrade anyway. This is the,
AC50 from High Performance Electric Vehicle Systems.
yes, indeed.
Yeah,
and
that's a
we
nice
have
motor.
used this to some success in the Spider,
Yeah,
Speedster, duh. That's about it.
that's it for us. Yeah, yeah.
I like this motor. It's small. It's an 8.5 horsepower motor. It's about 110 foot-pounds, really.
Okay, okay, yeah.
With the new Curtis 650 amp,
Right,
that's a pretty good amount of power.
that is.
I think we got 78 kilowatts out of Spider
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
with the 650.
With the 650, yeah.
And that's gross overkill for this vehicle,
Yeah,
what we're doing.
because this one's light.
You're trying to do another Cobra, aren't you?
I'm just trying to sneak one in on him.
zero to 60 in 6.
Yeah, there you go.
Little swallow.
Yeah, the swallow.
No, I think this will turn good.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we've grown to love about it, which is very odd given my original premise on regenerative braking, we put this in originally.
Originally in duh, yeah.
And we went and tested it and found out a remarkable thing. We didn't get any better range than we did with the other one
With the
that
Series
had a
DC.
Series DC.
Yeah.
And we started measuring things and found out some remarkable things. Regenerative braking is not what you've been told. It is not 15% efficiency gain. That is to laugh.
Yeah, that's way too much from what we found.
For
Yeah.
me, it's about a 3% penalty because I've learned to kind of coast and glide.
Yeah, yeah, right.
For Brian, it is some gain.
I
What
did
did you
succeed.
come in 6-7%?
Yeah, I think so.
usually?
Yeah, yep.
that you
Yeah.
would get a gain, but
Yeah.
not
It
15%.
wasn't 15, no.
And but some gain. But that's not why we like regenerative braking. It's kind of fun to drive.
It is. What makes the car feel, yeah, you still get that ice engine feeling, that kind of when you put your foot off the accelerator, it slows
Almost,
a little.
If you get good at it, you can almost drive the car with one foot.
Right, exactly. Yeah, without the brakes.
By backing off on the accelerator, you are kind of braking. Beyond, and you can set this
can
up
set it
however
up.
you want it.
Right.
I like it about 23% on Duff. I think we had Spider set up 30%. That was for that.
That was for the
autocross.
autocross.
So you could go into the turns
Real
with
hard.
one foot.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And, but I like it about 23% the way you set it up in the controller. And so we're going to replace this. What is this? An ADC 8-inch?
ADC 8-inch, yes.
With
DC.
this is an AC 50, which is, I think of it as an 8.5.
8.5
It's
inch,
not
yeah.
a 9-inch, but it's not an 8-inch.
No, right.
And it's a nice little AC motor. And the guys at HP EVS are doing some very interesting things we're following. Instrumentation,
Yes.
a kit,
Yes.
and
Yeah, kind of a,
and a 9-inch water-cooled motor.
that could be cool.
But they're kind of sticking with the Curtis controllers, which is a little exasperating because they don't put out the massive power like
Right.
a Zilla or a Soliton or Warp Drive.
Right, right.
But they're kind of bulletproof.
Yeah, there's not much to them. Once they're going, that's it. Yeah.
And the thing I like about them best is they'll use that brake transducer for regenerative
For regen,
braking, and
yeah.
we've learned to tune that in
Yeah.
perfectly. Unfortunately, the face of the ADC-8 and the AC-50 are not
They're
identical.
No, it's smaller by quite a bit of difference.
Now, the
It's,
shafts are the same size,
shafts
same
are
diameter,
the same
but they
diameter.
weren't the same length.
No, this was a little longer.
And Bill Bishop had actually done some fairly cunning work on the adapter
He did.
to make the length of this motor somewhat less. Now, therein lies an interesting tale. Our AC-50 may be shorter than our ADC-8.
It looks awfully close in any event. Let's see what we got.
I've got 14.5 inches case to case, and I have 13, and I would say 7/8 case to case on this one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So we actually are a half an inch shorter,
Right.
but a little bit bigger around.
Well, yeah, a little bit bigger in diameter, but a little bit shorter.
And we got a curved body coming down.
We do.
This would be very interesting.
Yeah, we've got a curved body coming down.
The other thing you should be aware of on HP EVS's AC-50 is that they have two tail shaft configurations.
Yes.
Originally, can we turn that around and show them the encoder?
Let's see if we can get it.
I can't, maybe you can. Together we probably could, except that would involve me again. Can you swap that around and show them?
I think so.
This is horrible because I'm going to make him spin it back.
I'm going to have to spin it back to use it. I'll get him
This
back.
is
Don't
an
worry, guys.
encoder for an AC induction motor, which is what this is. Normally, your controller needs to know the position of the motor.
Right, right.
Now, why would that be? Well, it's called slip. You have to kind of modulate a certain amount of slip if you're not retarded on the rotor.
The rotor, yeah.
From your phase rotation on the stator, there's not going to be any induced current.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
And
Nothing's going on. Yeah.
so that slip kind of has to be calculated in a Clark transformation of a fast Fourier transform, space vector modulation.
Engage.
Right. Flavor's waving on board. And so you normally will have an encoder, either a resolver or an encoder. This is a I think, a 64-bit encoder, if I recall right, and they have it on the end of the motor. Well, this motor has a little tail shaft out. No, this one doesn't.
That one didn't have a tail shaft either,
That's because of the, you know what? He cut that off.
I think to make it fit in the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the warp neck means and so forth usually have a tail shaft, which is a smaller diameter shaft, but you can use it for auxiliary
stuff, yeah.
things, like we're using it on the Escalade to turn the air conditioner and the and the hydraulic pump that runs our Hydro Boost brakes and our power steering.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a lot of demand for that.
Yes.
HPVS actually did engineer a resolver with an aux shaft. And that's normally how they ship the motors now.
Yeah, now that's how they do it, yeah.
But we're space constrained in the back, and comes up with us a lot. Why is that?
We're
always space
we've always
constrained
got
in the
some,
back.
we've always
Even
got,
if we have the motor turned around the other way, it's still
I know,
space
it's always
constrained
space constrained in the back somehow.
So
Yep.
we asked them to send us one that was, no aux shaft. And if you specify that, they can still do that.
Right, they will do that.
And so we got it and got the right one the first time from an American supplier.
They're a good one.
I think there's a little Chinaman that woodshed somewhere. These guys are not
That's right.
what they appear to be.
The railroad.
That's right. No American companies do that. No, they got it to us in what, a week, 10 days? The right stuff? The
right
first
stuff
time?
first time for the price they quoted.
At the price they quoted?
Yep. I don't know, something's wrong, guys.
Now I'm scared.
I know. God. Help me. Help me, Mr. Wizard.
So how are you going to put this adapter back together on this thing? I'll hold your blocks. That's the least I can do.
And we weighed this motor. It's 110 pounds.
110 pounds.
Yep.
And how much was the other one?
I don't remember.
We didn't weigh it, huh?
I don't remember. We'll have to give them a report.
Throw this on the scale. Let's see what we got
And
here.
then I'll just leave it on the scale, guys.
And just leave it on the scale.
That's the end of it. That's as far as it goes.
So Brian's going to get us a weight. But the trick thing is we're trying to use Bill Bishoprick's work on a kind of a nice anodized aluminum adapter barrel and plate. But you notice how thin the plate is in this. And he did that to do a very unusual thing with the flywheel. Most of the flywheels, we have a gland nut here, and this screws on to the usual type adapter. He made a different adapter and a different flywheel using these 4 holes to mount it, and a little bushing in the middle of it. And again, it looks like with an eye to saving horizontal space.
Yeah, 105 pounds.
105. And
This
this was?
110.
110. We lost 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it's about the same thing.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, that's interesting. They're about the same thing. And it's interesting that you can still pick up 105 pounds on account of I can't. And you're what, 2 years younger than I am?
A couple of years.
This is disgusting.
We'll work on him.
So I was trying to explain to him about this adapter and our being constrained in horizontal space.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, that other motor was hitting in the back, so we did everything we could to keep this as short as possible.
Explain this coupler to them.
What they did is
How
normally
this works with the flywheel.
normally on a VW, you wouldn't have this brass bushing in here. That actually is
it's where the gland nut goes.
Where
right?
the gland nut would go through, and it actually then would be, the coupler would be threaded, and these would not be through holes for bolts. These would be through holes for dowel pins. So you have dowel pins in your crank. You would put this on, and then you run a big gland nut on the end of it. That gland nut also has needle bearings. So what it does is it supports to a certain extent the input shaft from the transmission. So that's what he's done here is maintain that. What we did is, since the input shaft is going to be going into our output shaft here, we hogged it out a little bit and countersunk basically a about 30 millimeters in and about 16 millimeters
That's
wide.
quite a ways.
Yeah, so that otherwise we wouldn't clear because that shaft is going in. And that, again, all is in the interest of space. Normally, we wouldn't have that much. When we took about a ½ an inch off the length of the shaft, and that ½ an inch is a lot in terms of getting into the body of that car.
So show me the assembly. What are we going to do here?
Well, we'll put on the coupler first. We've got a hardened key, and we'll get that in there. And we'll go ahead and locate, put it on the right way. Locate that in here, and then we're going to run a set screw on it just to make sure we've got it all the way.
Yeah, you had a bunch of set screws in here. I don't really get what those are for.
That's what I was going to grab before.
You
It was a
want a
rubber
little hammer?
mallet. Yeah, I was going to grab a rubber mallet, and I forgot to do that.
You use a rubber mallet. I always use a big 3-pound sledge. Of course, the rule here at EVTV is if you cannot achieve a precision fit with a 3-pound sledge, don't force it.
There we go. We're just going to have them run that right down there to the bottom.
To the bottom, okay.
And what we also did, so we could use the natural shoulder on the shaft, is went ahead and just chamfered this a little bit so this cleared. So now we're in as deep as we can go. We went all the way, without taking the motor apart, all the way to the shaft.
So is that bottomed out, or you leave
No,
a
that
little
is
space,
bottomed
or-
out. Yep,
Okay.
that's bottomed out because there's a little shoulder, so we bottomed it out against the shoulder.
Okay.
So now we're secure.
And I see we're kind of flush here.
Yep, and then what we're going to do is go ahead and tighten up our, and a lot of the, a lot of the setups have this. We'll have a set screw to locate that keyway. You don't want that ever coming out. So, and then we've got a couple more here, and
Now,
these are going
what
to bite
in the
into
world
the
would
shaft.
they do?
They,
Bite
they,
into the
they
shaft?
bite into the shaft, and then we put a couple of little notches in the shaft itself.
I saw
for
a
these
couple
to sit in.
dimples.
Yeah, for these to sit in.
I can't believe that's going to do much, but I'm not sure this has to.
Yeah, I don't know. We just
1,500 pounds.
Yeah, we just did it the same way, and so that is our.
And so Bill Bishop, the original builder, is actually watching the show to see how we
How we're doing all
rebuild
this?
his baby. And he's sent in some drawings of his next version, which he's
Oh,
about
really?
to start.
Oh,
And,
how cool.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay, good deal.
So that's
I like that.
Swallow Duh.
I like that swallow duh. I like that. It kind of reminds me of those doors, and I like the doors of like an old C cab pickup truck.
Yeah, but he's still working that 50s Jaguar
Still got the
look.
Jaguar look. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's kind of cool.
You can tell this guy's a Jag fan.
So we got that on there, and then what we're going to go ahead and do is put the barrel. Now what we did, as you can see here, these were the original holes for a 9-inch motor, and I believe that the AC50 mimics the regular, like the Warp 9-inch, so that you can interchange an adapter. This is the adapter that came with it.
And so you've added Lucian, our enormous Polish friend, at Cape Precision
Cape
Machine.
Precision Machine, exactly.
Tap in some new holes.
Yes, tap new holes in, and also we put those new holes so that we can, so this will be at the top.
Ah, yes.
So we had to do
we
the
always
holes.
like this to be at the top.
We've got this at the top here, close enough, but we got it very, real close to being top dead center. So then he drilled out holes and gave us a nice little thing there. We'll get one of them in, and we'll go ahead and
Put a little thread
put a
locker
little
on
thread
it.
lock on there. Yeah, these would be very tough to back out because they've got the
Plate against
got the
them,
plate
but
against them, but it's still
Still,
a good
you
idea.
don't want them coming loose.
No, it's still a good idea. We'll just use a little bit in here.
See, they have to be countersunk to accommodate the plate.
Because they've got plates
So
for
I
that.
can't put my little Nord locks on there.
No, can't put. And we'll just get these in and we'll run them up here.
And we call this a barrel. What's its proper term?
I just
A barrel, yeah,
a barrel
okay,
or
all right.
barrel spacer.
Barrel
yeah.
spacer.
Yeah, and this is the one that came with the vehicle. I mean, also too, in interest, of Lee's budget, we wanted to see if we could reuse things, that came off the car as much as possible.
Well, the other element of this is we didn't really want to redo that flywheel.
No.
And we have a magic number. That was why we had to have the shaft cut. Whenever you do an EV, this comes up every time. You want your electric motor and flywheel to result with the flywheel in exactly the same position vis-a-vis the transmission as it was before.
Right, because
Now, the easy part of that is you simply make sure you're centered. But the hard part is, horizontally, you want that flywheel to wind up within a few hundredths, certainly within the adjustment of your
within
clutch,
adjustment of the clutch, yeah.
of the same distance from the face of the transmission. And so that's what this is about. The flywheel's about this barrel. And ultimately, this relatively thin
It's
aluminum plate.
about a half an inch
I'm kind
plate.
of impressed with the machining and stuff on
Yeah, they did a nice
Mr.
job.
Bishoprick's adapter. This is
They did a nice job. And then
This
what
is
we've
pretty
got,
good.
we've got this marked the top. And this then is what's going to locate inside of our tranny. Yeah, exactly. And then we'll go ahead and use that one and just hang that little
and
guy
so
off of there.
top and our UVW three-phase connections are kind of in phase.
Yeah, we like to have those. Yeah, it's good to have those at the top. There we go. Okay. But a little different than our other adapter, but not unlike adapter setups in general.
And that's kind of the important part of the adapters. You have a secure connection that your shaft is centered on the transmission shaft,
Exactly.
quite in line, and then that your flex plate in the case of an automatic transmission, and your flywheel in the case of a manual transmission are longitudinally approximate to where they were when it used a regular ICE
motor,
internal
exactly.
combustion engine to drive it.
Yeah, because it won't. Transmission could care less. It's as long as that clutch or flex plate, whatever's in the same position.
And so there you are.
Okay, so that's bolted on. So this flywheel, much in the like we did in the original Speedster, this was lightened to 8 pounds. They took off the gear. You don't need a starter anymore. Again, they put a little bushing in here, and that's going to correspond right here to this. And we'll go ahead and just set that on there for a moment. We'll lock that. Now we are going to use Nord locks on these.
Cool. So you're using the compound, red compound, and a Nord-Lock
And a
washer.
Nord lock. Okay. Yeah, so we'll make sure that this doesn't back off. But this was a nice adapter system they put together. I kind of like it.
Yep. And minimal machining work, really. Lucien did that for what, 250
$250 bucks, yeah, hardware and everything. Yeah, that was
Not a lot of hardware to it. But,
no. We got a whole deal there. We got just a couple more.
they were, the Cobra guys were wanting the drawings for the adapter. Of course, I told them Lucien can make those, but here's the drawings. Then they wanted me to do some sort of translation of them. Lucien's enormous Russian guy, Igor,
Igor.
uses something called Bobcat.
Bobcat, yeah.
To do
I don't think
this.
it's one of the most expensive ones.
No, I don't think it's one of the top. It's not like SolidWorks or AutoCAD or anything. So they're having a little trouble getting the drawings translated
Oh, geez.
and wanted me to convert them. I said, I don't actually have a copy of Bobcat,
No, we don't.
and but Igor likes it, and we'll go back and talk to Lucian some more. But I know they have at least one Cobra going into work.
They do, yeah, because they're doing another adapter.
So, Lucian's doing that for him?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they have ordered an adapter.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they wouldn't have him do it.
Just have him do it.
I mean, they can move it to China if they want, but it's...
And that...
They're certainly welcome to the info. Lucian doesn't have any problem with it either, but
No.
we're not going to go get a different CAD program.
No, just for that, no.
They can get Bobcat or get somebody with Bobcat to convert it to AutoCAD or whatever it is. G-Spot or whatever.
See, G-Spot, yeah. Some
You have to
damn
have
spot.
G-codes to get
G-code
the
to G-Spot.
Yeah. And, so there you go. This is spinning pretty good. It's kind of a beat up old flywheel, but
It's okay. The surface wasn't bad. I mean, it's good enough, you know. But
and
that's
we're spinning pretty truly.
yeah. No, yeah, very, very nice.
If weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, so a little run in it. But so do you have a clutch and pressure plate for it?
Yeah. Yep. We got a clutch and pressure plate.
Are we going to put those on it?
We can. I'm going to have to get some Nord locks for it though. Let me grab those and
All right.
we'll come back.
We'll be back in a second.
All right. NetGain Controls introduces the new Warp Drive Industrial Controller. The Industrial is designed to handle a maximum of 1400 amps and up to a 360 volt nominal battery pack. The unit's rugged design looks and works great in the automotive environment while protecting it from the elements. In addition to higher continuous currents than the classic Warp Drive controller, the Industrial comes with several major enhancements. Liquid cooling is available and uses leak-free and rugged AN fittings. The Industrial controller has complete isolation on both throttle channels, giving the highest possible immunity from situations that might affect the electrical throttle input. High voltage connections are fully protected underneath the sealed cover. Voltage leaks between vehicle chassis and a battery pack are detected, alerting the user to potential safety problems. Controller settings can be completely customized using the NetGain Controls interface module, which can also log data to an onboard SD card. The controller weighs in at 25 pounds. Visit www.ngcontrols.com to order your Warp Drive Industrial Controller now.
Lift.
So we'll go ahead and put the pressure plate and clutch disc in there. I'm going to go ahead and put some Loctite on here. We also got some Nord locks. I cannot find my my locator here, and this goes. It won't work any other way, but you always got to have this. This side, the flat side, is towards the flywheel. And then we'll get this thing started, and then we're going to have to locate our. Oh, watch your fingers there. Yeah.
Now, is there some rotation for balance? Do we know?
Yeah, I think we did put a mark on here.
Did we mark this?
I think.
Coming on. I see some kind of mark here.
Let's see. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, there's a mark there.
This is shiny for some reason.
Here's where they put the weights.
Yeah, they have weights on them, so
Yeah.
how did we mark it when we took it
With
off?
the paint and I think I painted the end up here that had this mark right there. That was what I did.
Here?
Yep. Yeah, where that one was. Yep, that was it.
All right. So we're going to be something
Just like
that.
that. Yep. There we go. That was it. There we go. Just get a couple of these started in here. And again, if you've been watching EVTV, you know that we do this in a little star pattern to get these
That's when we tighten them down.
when we tighten them down. Yep. Right now we're just going to get it started. And of course, I can't find my VW clutch pilot tool, but we'll get this thing centered on by eyeballing it. And then we're just going to snug this down first to where it's just barely touching.
The centerpiece shouldn't be too necessary. I think I can get in there with something like this.
Yeah.
Because we have the shaft centered out.
Yeah, we got the shaft centered out exactly.
So we have a little advantage you don't normally have in a car.
Yeah, we'll just have to kind of look at it right down the
Kinda
barrel.
line that up with the center of the.
Yeah, we can look right down the barrel and just kind of wiggle that thing around.
Yeah, I can go in a little circle here with this down in the shaft, and we should be. We're not.
We're low, huh?
Yeah, how can that be? Ah, there we go. Now,
I might have to put a little pressure on it while you got it lifted up.
yeah, you need to tighten her down a little bit right now. I'm lined up pretty good.
You got it?
Yeah, give me a little pressure on it. Now hold it. And I can move this just a little. There we go. And that is pretty nicely centered, actually.
If I spin it, does look pretty much in the center?
Hold it. No, it's wandered off. Yeah, you look. Spin it.
Oh yeah, I think that'll get us in there.
Sure. Yeah. Now this just has to be centered enough to get our transmission started in there.
Right.
And then we're going to have to rotate it a little bit. That's one of the reasons that this is a little awkward without a rear shaft, is you kind of have to get it turning to where those splines line up, and when you draw this up, it will it'll be centered.
Make sure that looks good. Yeah.
But we're pretty
That's close enough,
now.
yeah. I think that's pretty
Oh,
close.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty close. So now we're just gonna make a star pattern, just gonna tighten it and just kind of go around opposites, and then you'll feel that they're loose. And just bring this down, because what you don't want to do is deform any of this stuff. So
Yeah, it's just sort of a patience scheme.
yeah,
Give it a half turn, rotate it, go to a different part. Don't try to tighten the whole thing down in one fell swoop. And pretty soon it'll get down pretty snug.
and then you'll feel them like this one. You'll come to the
You've
one
got, Loctite, or what do they call it?
thread locker. Yeah,
Thread locker. And Loctite's a brand name.
Yeah.
And then
You got the Nordlockies.
we've got Nordlocks, the same ones we use for the M8s fit on there pretty good. And we ran that Nordlock film.
Just left the video for them. Yeah,
Per Eklund, and
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was better than the grainy one we had run before.
Yeah.
But they've done a lot with this little electric drill vibration table.
Yes.
Load cell with a laptop, and they just hook up a bolt and any fastener you want, and it makes a graph of the bolt coming
The bolt coming unloose. Yeah.
And they then put their, and that sold more of these Nordlocks than anything else. It's kind of what sold me.
Things are cool.
And
Gotta love them.
so, and I had really just not seen these used anywhere, and we're using them here all over the place, but absolutely on battery terminals. The thermal cycling
absolutely.
and the vibration in the car kind of tend to work your terminal bolts loose, and loose is not good.
No,
You're
that's,
gonna blow a terminal if that continues.
Right. Yep.
And we've stopped that with these washers.
Yeah, with those
and no
Nordlocks.
compound at all.
No, nothing.
Just these washers.
Yep.
But you actually have to put some extra force on it to get it up over that cam to loosen them back up.
Sometimes you think you're going to break your material or whatever. I mean, they're on there good.
And so I've fallen in love with them. There's a clutch, a pressure plate, an electric motor, a transmission adapter. Why won't this fit on our car?
It will.
Oh, we don't know that it won't yet, huh?
Right, we don't know that it won't.
How could we make that determination?
We just have to slip it up there.
We'll just have to put her on there. Let's go see if we can plug a new motor into this car.
Make that happen. All right.
This is the center of the EV, and actually we spend less time with it than anything else.
I know. Mess around
the
battery
motors
boxes and every other thing. I
Just
know.
kind of bolt them together.
Yep.
I had a guy today tell me how, brilliant it was to make these electric cars, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, See, there are batteries, a motor, and a controller. It's like a kid's car.
They are simple.
And the stuff we take out, half the parts, I don't even know what they do.
Oh, I know. We're getting the point. It's like I don't think we're ever going to need that.
14 hoses to a gas tank.
Yeah.
What do they do? Where do they go? What are all these parts?
It's something. Who knows?
Yeah, you don't have to be smart to do electric cars. You have to be annoyed.
That's right. You have to be really irritated.
All righty,
Good
let's
deal.
go see if she'll plug in.
Okay.
Brain, here's a good part. Here's where we insert the...
Stab the motor
In
onto the
the,
VW. Yeah.
yes, okay, the mating moment.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, lots of groaning.
So show me the coitus significance here of how we hook up this motor now that we've got it here.
Yeah, we're going to have to, what we'll do is we'll crank it up. We've got this cool little jack here because I'm just too damn lazy to pick up a 110-pound
Is that
motor.
the jack I got? I think I bought an 11-inch motor from Alex Smith that I didn't want
Yeah,
to get this
to get-
little
to get
jack
the
that
jack,
he had
yeah.
it bolted to.
Yeah.
And it's turned out to be a cunning thing. I sent the motor to Jim Husted, and that's going to be part of our, it was rebuilt for the Escalade, and this little jack is indeed handy.
So, we'll
So
get this
you've got your throwout bearing, new throwout bearing in there,
Yeah.
and your clutch works to throw that out. So all we have to do is basically slip it in there.
Kind of like that. We'll probably need,
You're up too high. Get some muscle in here.
probably need Rod here.
This is Rod Holzhauser. He's joining us. He used to be the head of Ammer and UE, but I guess they had a shake-up, and now he's
There we go.
here working with us.
High skilled
We
technology.
call him the chief lineman, and
Yeah, just turn it a little
but
bit.
he used to do quite a bit of what was it, Rod? Sprint racing or circle racing? I only turned one direction in your world, wasn't it?
Yeah. Always left, hopefully.
Always
Yeah,
left.
well, you're hoping you're always going left. Huh?
So he keeps trying to talk us into doing an electric car. It just turns left. I don't know what that's about, but that's how life is out in Oreo. And so, a couple of bolts.
I'll make the pneumatic sound.
There you go. Zzz.
You don't.
We've got an air gun. We can make those noises. We don't really like that. There's more opportunities to cross-thread if you do it manually.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is turning kind of uneventful, Brain. Tell me what you're doing. You ain't doing anything.
I know, we're just kind
Slid
of.
it in, and now put in some bolts, and you're putting the nuts on.
Yeah, these are the stock.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, these are the stock mounting positions for the VW, the 4 upper and lower bolts, 2 uppers, 2 lowers, and that's.
It's
And we
a
can.
lucky thing you've got me here to supervise.
Pretty amazing just how easy this really slipped in.
Yeah.
It is. We've got it wide open where we could do some stuff if we had difficulty. So guess what? On this build, we don't.
We don't have any difficulty.
It just
Nope,
it just
it's-
goes in. That's the way of this EV stuff.
Yeah.
If we had a body on here and we couldn't see anything and couldn't reach anything, that thing wouldn't go in any direction.
No, since we're standing over it though, it just
Since
slid
we're
right
standing here at working at waist level, it jumped onto the transmission and started making motions like it wanted to drive the car
That's it.
while we're talking about it on camera. 4 bolts later, how are we going to do a 2-hour video on this?
We'll just loop it over and over
Just
again. You guys just you
repeat
don't mind
it.
watching this over and over
We
again.
could have slow motion
Yeah,
reruns,
yeah.
then a fast motion thing. We could throw our flag, lose our timeout, have a challenge.
Yeah, that's right.
All
That's
right,
right.
let's see
Somebody
that
pull
again.
somebody
see
pull
if
the
it
red
went in
flag.
again.
somebody pull the red flag.
Yeah.
But that's it. Let's torque the bolts in. I mean, that's sorry guys.
Well, tell me what you got going here. We had a what do you call that? A roll bar?
Yeah, there was.
Brian, I have to tell you, it's too low to be a roll bar. I'm sorry.
No, we did have a big roll bar. This is actually just going to be an attachment point for our shoulder harnesses.
Well, it kind of puts me in mind to make a big roll bar on this thing. You've done so good.
Well, we talked about that, is get the body on there. If we want to do that, we can always attach that. It's not a big deal.
All right, good. I like that kind of talk.
And then Rod's been doing this too here.
And so we've got a little structure coming together here.
Yeah.
Where's my charger?
Right here.
Yeah, set that on
Here, let me get it.
Let's, since the motor, there's nothing to talk about on the motor, guys.
No, that's over.
By the way, it's installed and we're done. We're going to have to hook up the controller, some cables, and the car will drive fine. That's we're past that and into other things.
So Rod's made us a couple
That was the motor.
Rod's made us a couple of little places here to put stuff.
This will probably be our
Of course, he came to us from the racing community, but somehow still wanted to play with steel. I had to give him the steel lecture that I gave you in the hallway.
Sometimes we have to go with strength versus weight.
Strength versus weight.
Well, but in electric cars, we really don't.
other
We
point-
always go with weight.
But we have to
And if it folds up, we put more lightweight material
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
access to material.
Yeah, just put more lightweight material till it's heavier.
until it's heavy enough. So I've got him working with aluminum here, which is a new thing for him, I think. And here I'm going to go against everything we're doing. What am I doing with this charger?
Well,
Is that the 4,000 or the 5,000? Does it say on it?
it probably does say.
As it turns out,
Does it say
when
anywhere
I
on the
did
label?
I ordered both chargers.
I don't see anything on it.
No, it doesn't say anything
I
here.
think this is the 5,000.
Oh, there we go. Maybe that's our profile there. This is the 100, what is this? Charger. I don't see the wattage on here. 9 amps, 126, 126.
How many amps?
It is saying 15.5. 20 to 15.5 amps. I just don't see where it says our wattage here.
Well, that is odd. 240, 126 volt, 36 amps. And so that's going to be the, oh goodness, that's the 5,000.
That's got to be, isn't it?
What's the voltage down?
36 amper at
120
126 volts. Now I've actually got 10
That's our profiles.
curves. What are the profiles in here?
We've got 112.
to 126.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I would like to charge these 38 batteries to 133, I think. But they would drop to 126.
126, yeah.
With this charger, I can charge it to 126, they'll drop to 120. With 38 batteries, they're going to be seriously undercharged.
Yeah.
And this thing is kind of heavy. What's that weigh? About 20 pounds?
Yeah. Yeah. Probably or more.
Well, let's go throw it on the scale. Give me a weight on that, Ron. While he's going and doing that, let's talk about it. We may talk to Lee Moorhead about this. At 36 amps on 100 amp hour cells,
Jeez.
this thing will charge from flat empty to flat full in 2.5
2.5 hours. That's amazing.
By putting it here, across from the driver, like we put the bulk of our cells on the right side instead of the left, with one person in this car, it's going to be pretty nice.
It should be pretty balanced, yeah.
And a 2.5 hour charge time would be kind of cool.
Was it that's cool bragging rights, have a car with 2.5 hour charge time.
I've got another charger coming that is less money and
Okay.
less weight,
Okay.
and we'll charge it at a higher voltage.
Okay.
But
That's pretty cool bragging rights though. 2.5 hour charge.
Yeah, it's
Because when everybody asks him how
3,500
long does it take, he'll go 2.5 hours. He'll go, oh,
Yeah, right.
car runs like that and you can charge in 2.5 hours?
So
Yeah.
we're kind of trying to see if he can get us worked in with this big one, which he told me he couldn't when I ordered the little one. And now it looks like it'll fit.
I think we've got an inch or two of clearance, but without, we're going to find out when we put the body on.
Mm-hmm.
It's all measuring out correctly, but
I measured it
We-
a while ago, we should be.
We should be an inch good.
under.
Yeah.
30 pounds,
Cool.
or 29.4.
Ah. But that's, that would be,
29.4 pounds.
yeah.
It's not too.
That's not too bad. It's just unwieldy. I think it seems heavier when you're schlepping it around.
If we can get that on there, I believe that'll charge that car in an extraordinarily short period of time. Now, the car is, you know, we kind of shorted him on the cells using the 100 amp cells to
Yeah.
keep the weight light.
But at least it could charge quick.
But now he can charge quick.
Yeah, and you can go somewhere and charge for an hour or two, and
If
you
you
got
charge 240 for an hour,
you
you're half
get halfway.
back.
Yeah, you get half a pack back. Yep, you get half your range. Yeah,
So I don't
that
know.
might not be a bad way to go.
Yeah, let's play with that.
Okay.
So it's going to have a little shorter range, but a much shorter charge time than most EVs. And so that's kind of interesting. Of course, we have to put our controller, contactor, and do some wiring back here. We've already got our cables. Our pack is made up now.
Yeah, pack's bolted up. It's what? It's
I
at
have,
125
the 12
volts.
going, and we've got our cables coming back here. We'll play with that, but I like what you have going back here with this structure.
I
and
do
with the
too.
motor.
I do too. I
And
like that.
I think, Brian, you have actually worked it out to where this is going to be within our car,
I hope so.
and we're not going to have to cut the hole in the
That's
rear of
that.
it.
That's what I'm
I
hoping.
didn't realize that this was a shorter motor.
And just slightly big. I mean, it is it's such a cool body too. I just, you know, it's a one of a kind. I just hate to have to
There's
do anything
always
to
a
it.
not invented here thing. They didn't do, Bill Bishop didn't do the adapter the way we do them.
Right.
And my natural inclination is, my God, we should just do it the right way, our way. But you have led a cunning move to take what was there, examine it, keep the good parts, adapt it to what we're doing, and thereby save us about a half an inch.
I
I
think so. Yeah.
and this is where we get killed by a 1/32
I know.
of an inch a million times.
Yep.
We were, and Lee was okay with this. We were going to cut out a hole in the back
If
of
we
his
had
car
to, yeah.
and have the motor sticking through. But I don't think we're going to have to do it, and it's because of some very cunning work you've done with Lucian and that adapter. And I can't believe how it's going on here. We don't have a show this week.
No, that's it, guys. I mean, it's
over.
yeah.
We're
The
done.
motor's in. We're done.
You have to hook up the controller and do something else, make the wheels spin to make any video going on here.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
All right.
Anyway, good job on that adapter. I think you did a cunning thing. And Rod's work back here.
So it's looking good, our shelves and stuff.
Again, the trick is I want a rolling chassis that rolls, and then we'll just put the body on top, hook up some dash wiring, and that's it.
Yeah. That puts your steering column and dash wiring, and that's
One
it.
thing Bill did, and we do on these cars with the bodies, is hang stuff at every target of opportunity on the body.
Yeah.
In this case, I wanted to work on a chassis out in the open, and you saw how that went with its motor. It's almost.
I know, isn't it? I know. It's like, all right, put it
I
on.
guarantee if we were upside down hanging there,
It wouldn't go
It
in.
wouldn't do
We'd still
this
be
right.
fighting with it.
and
Yeah, still be fighting it.
So we'll have it where he can later pull the body off
Mm-hmm.
and do whatever he wants. So you can pull it off just to display it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
at a show or something.
Yep.
And people could then see, you know, how this, what's involved in an electric car. And we'll have all this laid out, and his batteries up there with the poly things. This is gonna be a cool little rig.
I think so. I like it.
Maybe take Bill Bishop for a ride.
There you go. Yeah, take him for a ride.
You still gotta come up with some plan for those seats.
I've got some seats coming, actually.
You gotta make it where I can sit in this
I've,
car.
I've,
Right now,
I've,
I can't get in
I've,
it.
you know, I've got to, we'll, you know, we'll
Hey,
talk
don't leave
about
here
that.
till I drive it, Lee.
Yeah, yeah, we've got some plans.
Okay. Rim shot.
I like
what do we do? We need the dancing girls or something.
some poodles
Our
maybe
video's dying here.
jumping through the flaming hoops, anything.
Let's get
please.
something going for these people
I-
to watch.
I tried
That
to-
was a big nothing.
I tried to drop it, put a chain around it, anything, it just didn't work. But with that adapter plate, I think we got to use, and that was really, aside from the financial part that we kind of spent all Lee's money,
Yeah.
we really did need that couple of inches, half an inch even, hopefully to be able to get that in without, you know, working the body again.
I think working that adapter of
Bill Bishop, yeah.
Bill Bishoprick had done. a fairly cunning thing, keeping all that quite short. And by hanging with that, I think you did an excellent thing. And that ½ inch is the magic ½ inch.
That's the one that would kill
makes
us. And hopefully we still have the 32nd we need. The ½ inch was easy.
I can't wait. Next week we'll show them all this shelf work that you and Rod did today.
Okay.
On the honeycomb
Yeah,
shelf.
that honeycomb shelf is pretty cool.
And, I think we got something going in the back of that car. It's all going to fall down pretty quick. I know you think there's a lot of wiring to do. It's hours of work, not a day.
Yeah, we're actually getting pretty close.
The battery box is sitting there cooking.
Yeah, sitting at 125 volts.
We've got our 12 volts. We've got our 125 volt. We're ready to go.
Yeah, a lot of wirings run, cables run. Yeah, there's little things to do, but we're moving around quick now. That's what we always tell. This second half is the quick half.
So what they really want to hear about is me, of course.
Okay.
Enough about you. Let's talk about me and the enormo black Escalade. We are having so much fun. We are finally, or again finally, on the electric Escalade. There's a half a dozen things I want to say about that. I don't even know what order to attack them. One is the purpose of the build is not to demonstrate how much money I can spend on an EV. It is kind of to dispel the myth that you cannot do a large vehicle as an electric vehicle. They actually work probably a little bit better in some ways, simply because you have more room and it's easier to work with in some key ways. This particular vehicle, as I mentioned, I picked, number one, I like the car. Number two, it's a four-door sedan. I know it looks like a pickup truck to you all, and Cadillac advertises it that way, but it's not. It's a four-door sedan with kind of a big grocery area in the back. A 5-foot bed is not anything any serious cowboy from Missouri would be using to landscape or rope them doggies. And so it's just not a working truck. This is a luxury ride with an area in the back that will take the biggest battery box we've ever done. The purpose of all that is so we have a vehicle that, number one, we can take 4 or 5 adults to dinner in. All my cars are becoming 2-seaters where that's not practical. And the other end of it is we've got some pretty fair weather cars. I love the replica Porsches and so forth, but in February around here we have sleet and freezing rain, ice, snow, and the cold. And in July, it gets hotter than $700. About 100% humidity and 100 degrees is actually fairly normal here in the month of July. You do want to have air conditioning. And so I need an all-weather car. It doesn't really have to go any particular speed or any particular range, but the environmentals have to go. It has to be tall enough to get over the snow and the ice and so forth and get me around town in bad weather and with multiple people. And so that's really our design criteria is not 0 to 60. It's not range. It's about creature comforts and so forth. And a very interesting thing has happened with the Mini E. Now, you know, we built the Mini Cooper, but I've also followed the Mini E program. AC propulsion provided the drivetrain, and by everyone's admission, including BMW's, that's really almost like a mini conversion. They used a very expensive AC propulsion system that has not worked out too well for them, to the point that, what's his name, Tom Gage, the CEO, is now no longer with the company. And AC Propulsion, which had been selling these for $25,000, we actually called and bit the bullet and ordered one. And then they told us we had to buy 5. Would you believe I actually called to tell them we'd take the 5, and they went off on a theory of batteries that was so bizarre that I just decided we couldn't work with these guys. Hopefully there's a change of heart. We may talk to them again here in the future. it appears that if they're going to have a future, they need to develop a little bit of a line of business providing these systems to people that make cars for money. And they were kind of partly caught up in the OEM loop there after the fashion of Interdel and A1223. That model is breaking down by the day, by the way. I'm kind of delighted to watch it happen, and saddened in a way for some of the loss of players who had good intentions. They were just mean, vicious people. But in any event, one of the things that they learned in the Mini-E program was about temperature control of the battery system. And they're all trading in their Mini-E's for Active E's that is going to have what they call an active temperature control system. This is not what you think. It has nothing to do with battery fires or cooling the batteries or maintaining the battery temperature. It's a nod to the fact that lithium iron phosphate cells do not work well in cold weather in discharge sense, and you can't really charge them at all below freezing, or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees centigrade. And so the Mini people would find that their range was decreased on cold days, with the sort of resulting thing that they needed a weather report to be able to determine if their car would make it to work and back the next day. And I found all this interesting to read, but it's exactly what we're building in to the Escalade, is what BMW is working on for the Active E, and that is basically a warming system for your batteries in the winter. You really don't need to cool them in the depth of the summer. As we've learned with the Mini-E, the same thing. We had a fan and a temperature probe. It never comes on, not in 100-degree temperature outside and running full board down the freeway. The batteries do not get hot. It's not an issue. The entire issue is getting them up to operating temperature when it gets cold. And so we've built a box here with a false floor and PEX tubing, and we're going to run glycol and water through our heat exchanger in the cabin, and both I and the batteries are going to be warm. Not only that, and they are doing this at BMW as well, when you plug in your charger, that will also, if you have a seasonal switch on, that will also turn on a very low wattage warmer and pump to cycle water through overnight. That will keep your cabin and your batteries toasty warm, not only when you come out in the morning, but while they're charging at night, and so they'll safely charge. And so I thought those lessons from the Mini-E program are very much in line with our thinking from our Mini Cooper as the only all-weather car I've got, and certainly for this build. Unfortunately, Cadillac Escalade is a heavy vehicle. Right now, I'm estimating this a finished car at about 7,800 pounds with the batteries. And that's going to take a lot of energy to move them, which takes a lot of batteries, and the batteries are heavy. You kind of get in a circular game here. These are some 400 amp hour cells from the Winston Battery Company, previously Thunder Sky, and therein lies quite a tale. We had originally contacted Winston Chung and Thunder Sky right about the time they became Winston Battery Company for some cells that they had put a spec sheet up on their website for a cell that didn't exist. They didn't have it completed, but it caused quite a stir, and I got quite excited about it. It was a lithium sulfur cell, much lower voltage per cell, but much higher energy density. And so I thought this would make the car work in a very interesting way. We contacted them, and after some hemming and hawing, they finally admitted that they didn't really have that cell. It was sort of in experimental stages. And they were hopeful about it, but it would probably be some time. And we talked to them about what some time meant, and it increasingly became obvious that we were talking about some time like after a year. And so they agreed to sponsor us on this build with their LFP battery. That is their kind of flagship, the LYP actually. Lithium iron phosphate cell with yttrium that has a very long cycle life, 5,000 cycles at 70%. Probably the longest of any available lithium battery. And in a 400 amp hour size. Now 400 amp hours, we know that we can do 1,000 amps or better out of a 160 ampere Thunder Sky battery. We've done 1,300 amps, we know, out of 180 amps of a Thunder Sky as 290s in the Cobra. And so we know they'll do 7 or 8 times their amp rating pretty much continuously. Well, 7 or 8 times 400 would be 3,200 amperes that this cell can put out continuously. And that's a lot of power. But we're going to need a lot of power to accelerate this vehicle. And in fact, we're going to have 2 11-inch motors and 2 solitons that could conceivably do 2,000 amps. And we're actually looking at another Evnetics product that may or may not be ready for this, the Shiva, that would put out 3,000 amps through a single controller. And we would run that through the 2 motors in parallel at 1,500 amps a motor. It would probably make this Escalade's original 7-second 0 to 60. We'd probably be competitive with that at that rate. That's not a big design criteria, but it would be a nice bragging right. Winston Battery and Thunder Sky fell out. Thunder Sky became Sinopoly. There were some lawsuits filed. Winston used some of his money to buy a company in Long Beach, I think, called Balcon. And he initially told them to send me the cells. Well, they had the cells. They use big cells on these trucks they build, but they didn't really want to do that. The head of that company is an Indian man named Bamra Stimwinder, I believe, something like that. Bamra Stimwinder, and Mr. Stimwinder didn't want to give up the cells he'd already paid for, even though now his company was 49% owned by Winston. So there was a big battle over that. Finally, Winston sent us the cells for the project directly from China. But in the interim, the angst between the Winston Battery Company and Thunder Sky, now Sinopoly, has continued into quite a drama. Winston has announced that they're not going to sell to North America at all, that Balcon will be their North American agent, and that they're not going to sell them here. We can't really even find signs of them being sold. And Sinopoly, who is everywhere telling everybody they're really the Winston Battery Company now, Sinopoly, and they should buy from them, as they're the only ones who really have access to the patents, except they're not selling any cells to anyone that we can determine. And so it's thrown the prismatic cell area into disarray. Meanwhile, we'd agreed to do a commercial, which we have on our show, completely with an email address where you can order batteries from that you can't order batteries from. And we've tried to contact Balcon. We can't find anybody that can contact them. They apparently don't sell the cells, and if they did, it would be 60 days, I'm told. Now, how anybody knows it would be 60 days if they don't sell the cells anyway, I'm not sure. But if anybody knows of anyone at home at Balcon, and particularly Sammy Stimwinder, we'd love to hear from them, because we don't know what to do with your commercial, which still has several months to run, and you're still kind of the central element of our Escalade project, which I think you should watch our show because in the meanwhile, Balcon's gotten in trouble with the city of Long Beach and the port because they delivered a bunch of these electric trucks that will not make it the day on a single charge. And so stick with us. We're going to show you how. Using your cells along the way. These are the cells. Of course, they're larger and they have larger terminals. And per our procedure, the first thing we do is clean off the terminals very nicely. First with a fairly coarse sanding block that doesn't give off much sand or any sort of residue. We get them from Lowe's, and then 3M makes them. And then a little finer one, we take out some of the scratches and kind of polish it off. The idea here is not to make them pretty. I don't care about gouges in them and damage to them. Actually, that's not a problem. What we're after is the removal of oxidation at the microscopic level, particularly in the case of the cathode, which is aluminum. Aluminum almost immediately forms an oxide coating that prevents any further deterioration, but it's somewhat dielectric in nature. In fact, electrolytic capacitors are manufactured based on the dielectric strength of the oxide layer that aluminum forms. And so we want to remove that. And the same with the copper terminal, and for the same reasons. It also combines with oxygen from the atmosphere and makes a little corrosion on it. And you're going to get a better connection if you remove that oxidation. Connections are really the name of the game. And when we're talking about a 7,800 pound vehicle and 3,000 amps of current, this is an immense amount of current flow. And any kind of loose connection or any kind of connection that has any resistance, and I mean 0.001 ohm of resistance, is going to cause heat, and that's going to cause further deterioration, which causes more heat, which goes into thermal runaway in milliseconds. And I've seen batteries and so forth blow explosively the terminals off of the cells. We've developed a procedure to prevent this, and we're pretty persnickety about it because we've had very good success with it. This is a braided strap. It's a copper braid strap material with some, they're just metal clamps on the end of them that are folded over, and then hole drilled through for the terminals, and the entire thing dipped in a tinning solution, sort of a silver tin type metal melted solder that puts an anti-corrosive coating on it, which of course begins to corrode too. It has two sides. The very flat side is what goes on the terminals, and a slightly rounded side where our bolts go. And the only side you need to worry about is the flat underside, because that is what goes on our terminals. And so I knock a little scratch into the tinning on the bottom of that. And then we can use that to put across the cells and connect them. These particular straps are 55 millimeters on center, and they're 15 millimeter holes. And I got them from EV Works in Australia because they said that was the perfect strap to have for these 400 amp hour cells. And we conferred with them, and we bought a bunch of them, and we've had them here for some time, months really, knowing that all I had to do was lay them across, put the bolts and washers on, and I was strapped up. Guess what? They are 12.5 millimeters too short. The center of the holes does not match the center holes with the batteries when you have the batteries joining. Obviously, they always were too short for this. They were meant for this kind of a connection, but we would have to have 67.5 millimeters center to center. And I contacted them, and their response to fix this is to delete the reference to 400 ampere cells on their website. They've assured me they've done that. They are talking about sending me a little bit of my money back. I'm trying to locate some new ones. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and strap them up by cutting the end of them out. Now, this is not an ideal solution. Understand that our ability to current is a function of how much of this contact area we can put on top of this terminal. And these terminals are much bigger for a reason. 400 amp hour cells are expected to carry greater current, and so they have larger terminal tops. And so we're going to go ahead and strap them up with these cut ones. We're basically just cutting on a bandsaw, the ones from EV Works, so I can put them together. But it's almost for test purposes. I'm trying, in fact, I've submitted the dimensions to a company in China that makes these, and we'll try to get some made. The terminal bolts are likewise different. Now, understand we're using nothing that Balcon uses and nothing that Winston recommends to connect these batteries, because we don't like their connectors and their performance and their corrosion. This is a bolt I get from McMaster Car. It's a 1420, and what that means is this is an M14 bolt. The shaft of it is 14 millimeters in diameter, and this one happens to be 20 millimeters long. That is from the bottom of the head to the end of the bolt. And this works just fine. We also, from McMaster Car, order these Nordlock washers. This is a, it says it's from Garimer, Denver, but they're just a distributor for the Nordlock washer. These are real Nordlocks, come in packs of 10s, fairly expensive, close to $1 a piece, I think, in this size. This is a 14 millimeter, which would, of course, match our 14 millimeter bolt. And so this is kind of the basics of our connection strategy, is to use these braided tinned copper straps that have some flex to them. In other words, I can have this even stepped either way, and my terminal portion will be flat on the terminals, while the flex all happens in the braid in between them. And so you put that there and take your 14 millimeter bolt, your 14 millimeter Nordlock, and you screw this in. Now, we have shown here on EVTV several times, and most recently in a trip that Christopher Fisher and Per Eklund made to the Nordlock factory, their demonstration with their vibration drill thing and load cell of why this is such a good idea in an environment of vibration. It's also pretty good in our environment, which does have vibration, and that is part of it, and I'm not going to belittle that, but I'd like you to consider something else. When I step on the accelerator of this Escalade, assuming we do use the Shiva, we're going to draw 3,000 amperes of current out of these cells. And we're going to do that while we're accelerating, which is 7 seconds if I go to 60 miles an hour. And what happens when I get to 60 miles an hour is I'm going to take my foot off the accelerator, and we're going to be cruising along at 50 amps, maintaining our 60 miles an hour. And then when we do that again, we're going to repeat the process. Not seasonally, not daily, not monthly, and not hourly, but every time we step on the accelerator for the drive, we're going to go to 1,000 amps, 2,000 amps, 3,000 amps, and then we're going to quit. And that, I don't care how good of connections we have, there is going to be heat in these bolts, these straps, these terminals. That's the nature of 3,000 amps. And so when we do that, they're going to expand. Now, the stainless steel expands at one rate. The zinc-covered, and we always use the zinc-covered Nordlocks. Does anybody know why? Sacrificial anode, that's right. It's a little superstition. I don't know that it does anything. But the zinc-covered steel, the tinned copper braided strap, and the aluminum terminal. Each one of those things has their own heat caused by the 3,000 amps of current, and they all expand at different rates. The copper expands at one rate, the aluminum expands at another rate, the steel expands at another rate, the zinc makes it a little different, and so they all expand at different rates and become different sizes. And then when it cools, they contract again, but at different rates. And so you not only have the possibility of galvanic corrosion, if you get any kind of electrolyte on them, but you have this, I call it thermal cycling. We're going to go up in temperature and down in temperature, not daily, not seasonally, not weekly, not with the sun, but every time we step on the accelerator. And that puts a stress on these things. We have found this Nordlock, if you use it this way, will keep these connections clean, tight, and trouble-free. Now, if you start sticking wires and loops on these terminals, it kind of defeats the Nordlock washer. It has two pieces that have a cam in between them. If you turn it a certain direction, you have this cam. And so to loosen it, you're actually going against the cam, and you have to increase the pressure on the washer to get it to loosen. This is the nature of the beast. It digs in both to our strap and to our bolt with these little ridges on the outsides of each of the two pieces, and they're very hard, a very high hardness factor. So they dig in, of course, to the soft copper in their strap, but even to the hard stainless steel of the bolt, they dig in. And so it's very difficult to vibrate or thermally cycle or otherwise get this to back off and loosen up, and that's why we like them. And so that's our terminal preparation. I'm in the box kind of putting this together. We'll try to get you a shot of what that looks like, as it's a little bit comic. I would say there's some other considerations. Here's our wrenches. Brain just prepared for me. Obviously, we have a, what is this, a 22 millimeter socket and on a 1/2-inch ratchet. But these cells, the terminals, are such that this wrench is long enough to broach them. This is a 7/8 inch box end wrench. It actually has an open end on the other end, but I don't care. We've wrapped all that in the heaviest military spec heat shrink we could find on both of them, and that is to keep, if I drop the wrench across things, we can't really get a short going on these cells because I've got most of it wrapped in heat shrink. You're going to drop a wrench on your cells. You're going to drop your glasses. They usually go up in smoke real quick. But this has enough metal in it to cause a serious plasma fireball. You're not going to get electrocuted by these cells. You can get burned pretty easily, and it's not because things got hot. It's usually from a flash from one of these melting metals that causes a kind of a glowing flat plasma, and the light will burn you. But the gas will too if you get near it. And so dropping heavy metal across 400 amp hour cells is kind of bad news. So you don't get near them with any piece of metal that's long enough to bridge two terminals without shutting off part of it with some heat shrink, and that's what we've done. This is the cheapest way to get insulated tools. They have them. They're very expensive, but in this case, these are kind of peculiar items anyway, and so We've just put a heat shrink on them, and I think they'll do well. So that's the basic need is, your sanding blocks, your straps, which should be the correct ones. We've had to modify these. Nordlock washer, a hard stainless steel, in this case 14 by 20 millimeter bolt, and that's going to let us strap up the biggest battery pack we've ever done. Our basic box will have 3 rows of 19 cells for 57 cells, and that should give us 192 volts at 400 amperes. Let me pull my magic calculator here. Oh. Let's see, 57 times 3.35, 190.95 volts, I'm sorry, times 400 amps is a 76,380 watt battery pack. Now, let's say the vehicle weighed 7,638 pounds. I think I said it's probably going to weigh 7,800. But that would be 1,000 watts per mile for 100 miles, 100-mile range. Well, actually, it'd be 763 watts per mile, wouldn't it, for a 100-mile range. And I'm betting that we'll run into a strange phenomenon we've noticed with our larger cars. And that is that in town, we probably won't get by with 750 watts per mile. I bet it'll be over 1,000 watts. But on the freeway, I think I can crank along at 350 or 400 watts per mile. And so my bet is that we won't get a 100-mile range in Cape Girardeau with this car, but we would easily be able to drive to St. Louis on the freeway in 6th gear with an automatic transmission, cranking along, because it's all about moving the mass. And once we have it in motion, it doesn't take that much energy to keep going. We do have the air resistance, but I've noticed on the Ford Edge and the Mini Cooper that on the freeway, it seems we get better mileage than in town. On the smaller cars, we get much better mileage in town than we do on the freeway. But I think it's a function of weight, and this will be an interesting project to prove that. So we're shooting for a 100-mile range. I don't think we'll make it unless part of that's on the freeway. I don't believe we'll be able to make it for 760 watts per mile in town. But I don't think it'll take that much on Interstate 55. We'll see how that comes out with an automatic transmission. We're dealing with a lot of things I'm not familiar with. The idling of the transmission, just to keep the pumps working and so forth. And of course our air conditioning and heat and so forth. But that's going to be the biggest pack we'll ever do, 76 kilowatt hours. I've actually got batteries to make that a little bigger, and we're looking for targets of opportunity. The problem being this battery pack so far I've already got wired up, hosed up with a false floor to heat with liquid from our liquid heating system, and I think that's going to be a key to all-weather performance. Stay with us. This should be a fun project. I think you'll see some stuff I've never seen before anyway. This episode of EVTV is brought to you by the Winston Battery Company Limited, makers of high-capacity lithium yttrium rare earth cells, including the popular 160 amp-hour model featuring cycle lives in excess of 5,000 cycles when discharged to 70%, the longest useful working life of any available battery of any chemistry. A leading battery technology scientist, inventor, and entrepreneur since 1995, Mr. Winston Chung envisions a new world of clean electric power for the dawn of a new era of electric vehicles. For your next electric vehicle design project, contact Winston Battery Limited. energy for a bright future. This is just a bigger vehicle than we're accustomed to. I'm up inside the battery box, which I don't often get to do. We're using a lot bigger bolts, as we talked about, 20 millimeter M14s. And again, after relying on our friends at EV Works, they just gave us the wrong information and the wrong straps. We've had to saw the ends of these out to use them temporarily. I'm trying to get some made with 67.5 millimeter centers for these in China now, but it's going to take a month or two. And unfortunately, we don't need enough of them to really work up to a quantity buy, so I'm going to have to spend quite a bit on them. And all these people that sell a component and purport to know had sold me these, and I've had them laying here for months and just never did check. I assumed they knew what they were talking about, and they don't actually work. But by sawing out the ends, we can do it. We've got our 2 terminals there. We've got our first row in, 19 cells. I'm kind of sitting in the middle of the second row, and then there'll be a third back here for 57 cells. Of course, between rows, I've got a 1.5 inch by 10 inch piece of copper bar. I put a heat shrink over it and drilled the holes. I think that it was 8.5 inches on centers side by side for these big 400 amp cells. 9/16 inch hole, which is about 15 millimeters, to accommodate the bolt. And that works pretty well. And we will come back down this way, and then along there, our most negative terminal will be back there, but we'll bring that up in the box with a cable to our negative terminal in the front. And this one will have a very short cable from this forward positive terminal to the red one. And then we will drop 4 cables straight down through the bed to the underneath of the truck, and through brains kind of a gland nut PVC pipe conduit that'll go through the bed of the truck to prevent chafing on those cables. We'll have big 4 cables, and these 400 amp hour cells, well, we used the Cal 180s successfully at 1,000 amps, and so these should do 2,500 amps or so quite handily, if our little straps will bear that. Our 4-aught cable certainly will, and we'll bring that up to 2 terminal blocks in the engine compartment and tie all our chargers and so forth to that. Again, one of the principles on this system is our false bottom in the box with the PEX tubing, and we're going to have a heater made out of a house tankless water heater, about 24 kilowatts, that will run off the pack when we're driving, and that'll heat both the cabin and the battery box. But the more probably beneficial end of it will be at night when we plug in. We'll use our 240 volt charge voltage to heat that water on the same tanks with some little flexible heaters that we have that'll be attached to them that will gently warm it at about 250 watts, and a little way to turn on our 12 volt pump as well. And so at night, in season, we'll have a season switch on this, sort of a winter-summer switch. But in winter, our charger voltage will also be used to heat the water much more gently. Instead of 24 kilowatts at about 240 watts, and a little pump. But that will run continuously all night off the AC. And in this way, our battery pack and our cabin will be kept warm, not overly warm, but above freezing. and that by the long duration of it. You come in the evening with a warm car, put it in the garage, hook it up to the AC, or it could be on the outside hooked up to the AC, and that 200 or 300 watts of heat continuously run through that liquid system with the box inside of the car and through the heat exchanger should keep everything really quite nicely warmed overnight without using a lot of energy. And when you come out in the morning, your car's ready to go. The batteries are warm. Batteries have been warm while they were charging, and so they'll be properly charged. And if you go out driving and you're in really cold weather, you can flip on that 24 kilowatt heater, and it'll put out plenty of heat for both you and the batteries. In fact, the way that'll work is with a little thermostat. You'll turn it on. Both heaters will come on, then one will drop out, and the other one will cycle in and out as necessary to make your optimum temperature. So a lot of this is about temperature control, but I'm kind of having fun, I got to tell you, with the battery pack. These are the largest batteries. We weighed them today. They were not 27 pounds, but 29 pounds on our scale. So this pack in this box is going to be 1,653 pounds, 57 cells, 190 volts and change, about 191 volts. 400 amp hour capacity for 76 kilowatt hours of power. Now, if you figure the average household might use 15 or 20 kilowatt hours in a day, this battery pack would run a home for 2 to 3 days off these batteries if you had a sufficient inverter to use it. And so it's an immense power pack, and it really the equivalent of just a little over 2 gallons of gasoline, which a gallon of gasoline is nominally 37 kilowatt hours of energy. This will be 76 kilowatt hours, and the largest pack we've ever done. I think sufficient to drive this car, and I think we're going to be in for a little bit of a surprise in actually ranging the vehicle. Something that we've seen signs of with the Mini Cooper, seen definite signs of with the Ford Edge, which has an automatic transmission, and I think is going to come through on this one, is that large vehicles are difficult to accelerate. Small vehicles are difficult to keep at a high speed against the wind resistance and the rolling resistance, but large vehicles, the acceleration energy, it becomes overwhelming. And so you need a lot of energy to get a big mass like this in motion. This vehicle, curb weight is 5,800 pounds. Gross is 7,200. With 1,650 pounds of batteries, we're going to be at about 7,600 sitting there. And if you put 5 people in, that's another 1,000 pounds. We're going to be a little over gross on this one. It should wallow down the road pretty sprightly. But in great comfort, I do hope, with fantastic air conditioning and heat. It's got a heated steering wheel, a heated windshield washer, air conditioning that blows through the seats, and so we're after creature comforts here for 4 or 5 adult humanoids in inclement weather. And so I'm a little giddy here in the back of the truck amidst the largest battery pack I've ever done. And it's kind of immense, and that's what it's going to take to drive this vehicle. Okay. So that's mostly about batteries, huh?
Yeah, but that is looking cool, though. Those are some gigantic...
76 kilowatt battery pack. And we're in a really strange place with batteries. We're in the beginnings of this backlash. It could be a gentle one. It might not be the bloodbath that I had talked about. They're handling it somewhat gracefully now. Nissan is now talking about selling twice as many cars in 2012 as they sold in 2011. They think they sold 20,000 in 2011. We think they sold 8,700 something here in the U.S. Total. But it could be 10, it could be 20
Yeah, it could, yeah,
worldwide.
yeah.
If they sold 40 next year, and I guess I'm hearing mostly good things from leaf owners.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything bad about the leaves, have
And
we?
so,
Not really?
No, not
No,
really.
no.
And it's surprisingly not really any great things, but no negatives.
But no negatives either, yeah.
And so I would say that they could sell 40,000 next year pretty easily on word of mouth. And
Yeah, there should be
pleased buyers.
putting
And,
some people butts in the seats like we talk about, yeah.
similarly, the Volt, but a little reality check setting in, and certainly among these guys who sell to OEMs, Tom Gage is gone from AC
It's from AC Propulsion, yeah.
We'll see what they do. They should join the fold and become a component supplier to electric vehicles.
Well, we're going to work on them, I'll tell you guys.
Give them a call.
Yeah, no, we're going to work on, see if we can get them over here to your side.
The battery guys were suddenly, I have 300, they have been shipped. I have a tracking number for 300 A123 cells.
Oh, good, okay.
From China.
Okay.
And we're going to work on a module for that. James Delgado is, as I said, sending us 24 of the
headways.
The new HP 8 amp hour cells.
Oh, good, okay.
And so we're going to play with different battery strategies, which is timely. China Aviation Lithium Battery Company, which we got 2 shipments this past month from Pomona, and they are selling cells, but they're kind of stuck on this $1.25 an amp hour.
$1.25 an amp hour.
Poly, and Winston are in a huge price war down around $1, which is great news, except neither one of them seem to be selling any cells.
None of them will deliver any.
Per Eklund insists there is a distributor in Germany who is selling cells, and I have corresponded with a distributor in the UK that is selling Sino-Poly cells, but neither of them, well, the one in the UK has never seen one of the cells yet, and the one in Germany I haven't talked to. No sales in the United States. So this appears to be largely a myth. Winston, meanwhile, has abdicated the field in the United States to their agent and acquisition, Balcon, and Balzer's Stemwinder, the Indian head of
Balcon. And we still can't even talk to them.
won't even speak with us. We can't seem to get a hold of him. We've tried multiple times. We don't know what's going on with their ad or the support. We've got the batteries for the Escalade.
Maybe thousands of our viewers email them.
Well, we have had several.
We haven't
had anybody actually getting a cell.
No, they haven't gotten any
They're
cells.
talking 60 days to get any, and that could mean anything. And their own efforts with the trucks have been a big black eye for Long Beach Port Authority because they got the trucks and they don't last the day.
And they don't have the
charge. They don't have any range anxiety. They can't haul the freight
can't haul stuff
long enough to get anything done. And so that their whole basic product is in redesign just to try to meet the duty cycle, which is more what you're looking at in a port.
In a port, yeah, in the duty cycles.
And range is how long can you run it, and how long does it take to recharge and get it back online, and they haven't met anything. It's been a disaster.
Man, that's going to be a tough one, yeah.
And so that's another little backlash area. So if anybody knows how to get Ballman Stemwinder from
I think maybe our viewers just email on their contact form and tell them they need to talk to us.
Yeah, right. Well,
Thousands of you do that.
All our viewers
just
Balcon and
just take their servers offline.
Take one of Brian's phone calls.
take their servers offline. Just flood them. You guys do that on your own. But I think that might work.
Yeah, it might.
Show them how important you are.
A little demonstration of who of them there are.
That's right. Who you guys are.
We had a registration of someone bringing a car this week for AvCon 2012.
Cool. Yeah, don't forget
And
about the
so,
show, you guys.
Well,
Come
it's
on.
kind of, I mean, we just had it in September. It's December. It's
Yeah.
not even next year. But yes, it's starting.
Good.
Pick up. We're going to be in the Show Me Center Arena, which is a marvelous facility, 32,000 square feet. I hope we get. I'd like to have about 800.
800 people would be great.
100 cars. We're going to
Be a
have
great
a lot
show.
of neat things going on with that, with speakers and events, and
We'll still have the races and all the stuff we had, just bigger and better.
so it should be literally bigger and better.
Yeah, should be a great
And
show.
we're going to put some effort into a vendor floor and show specials and battery deals and try to make this the place. But absolutely the place to bring and show your vehicle
Right.
to an appreciative audience of your peers.
Right.
And I need to work on that. We need some significant awards for build quality and so forth.
Okay, then there you go, guys. We're going to
we're
have some
gonna
more
work
cool
on that.
stuff. Yeah.
So that should be, recognize some of the efforts of some of these guys. Speaking of guys, put John Allen on TV last week.
I know you did.
Well, we have
Did you create a monster?
Yes. But you have to see this. This guy is making the sparks fly. You would be proud.
Okay.
Right? This is John Allen with a Sparky the Grinder chopping up the old Toyota trunk.
Okay.
Take a look at this.
Hello Jack and Brian, this is John Allen from New York, Westchester, New York, with my 1994 Toyota Celica. I've done a few things since the last show. First thing I did was clear out all the old batteries, get them all taken out and take a lot of things off the car. And then the thing that I've been concentrating on, the first thing that always seems to stump all of us, is finding a spot for the batteries, for the new lithium batteries. So I concentrated this last week on the rear trunk area and trying to create the space, the new space for the batteries. So I can show you that, show you how I got along with that. So here's the trunk area now. I want to try and utilize that wheel well, cut out and drop down a battery box that will fit in that area and go below it. And see if I can get a bigger space as possible to put batteries and also reclaim some of the trunk. So I'm at the point now where I'm going to cut out the floor of the trunk and try and get some idea of how big my battery box will be. So I've got my grinder, the metal cutting wheel on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and get on with it. So there's one part out. So basically I want to cut out little bits and pieces of this and gradually work the size of the hole bigger, because I don't want to make too big of a hole. If I cut too much out, I can't put it back. So I'll just basically cut out as much as I can, and then I'll increase the size of it where I can see fit where the box will go. I think that's the way I'm going to approach this. So I want to keep checking underneath just to see But I'm going to avoid this, I guess, more structural piece here. So I'm probably going to now cut across over here so that I can avoid hitting that. But as you can see, I'm gradually opening up the bottom over here. Okay. So now I don't really know what to do with this area here. My PVC pipes came through the conduit that was, protecting my main wires here, running from the front of the car to the back. I think I'm probably going to end up cutting more of this back here, or maybe even further back. I'm not sure yet. I'm a bit puzzled by it at the moment. So I think I'm going to go underneath the car and look around a bit more and see what I can do with it. See where I've got space. I might end up putting another box next to the battery box. Have the deeper one coming in down here, and then maybe a shallower one behind it, which could hold some other of the components. So it's very often the case, as you work with something like this, you cut something out and then you find something, and another problem crops up. So I don't really know what to do with that area there. Maybe cut it out, as I was saying, put another box in there that could hold all the components. And it's not until you actually start cutting through things and seeing things that you suddenly have another idea that might work out. So I'm probably just going to have to keep cutting a little bit more and see and see the whole plan evolve as you go along. It's pretty exciting. I mean, you never know what you're going to get up to, really, or what will happen. Another thing I've been trying to figure out, and I've been having trouble trying to figure it out, how far down can I come with the battery box? Lining it up with the bottom of the car here. And I was just trying to think, well, how am I going to do that? Because I'm not sure if I've got this car level. In fact, I know I haven't got it level because the garage floor is sloped. And it's a real mind puzzler. But I had an idea a moment ago using my laser level, and it actually has a facility on it whereby I can actually fix across the cross so that one can do diagonal tiling. So I'm going to give that a try and see if that actually will work for me. There's my laser level. It can put a cross like that, and then I can tilt it. That's so you can put diagonal tiles. I can even make that horizontal line tilt up and down. Well, if I get under the car and put this laser level and match it up with the railings underneath the car, I might be able to get myself a line from which to work from. And that suddenly was a little flash of an idea that came into my mind. It could be a useful idea for other people, I don't know. Let's give it a try. So if I get this all centered up on the center line of the car, and then I can get the horizontal plane kind of worked out, positioning it, and then I can put this laser level on a tripod and then adjust it and get it in the right spot. I think this idea is going to work. But just to give you an idea of what I'm doing, I've put a straight edge across here, a level. It's not being used as a level at all, but it's a straight edge running from one side of my hole to the other. And now I'm going to go underneath the vehicle and measure up to it, and I shall see how much distance I can drop down to my laser line. So let's go and do that. Position myself under the vehicle. I've put my measuring tape up to the bottom of that straight edge, and then I've got my laser level cutting a line here, and my goodness, look, I've got 13 inches. 13 inches clearance. That's a massive box. That means I can almost pretty much drop my whole battery, the Calb 180s, all the way down here into a box that'll fill up this area here, and I'll get quite a lot of my batteries in there, and I'll have my full trunk space. That's very exciting. So there you are, that's how I've been dealing with that, I'm going to probably now measure up the space there that I need to come up with sizes for the battery boxes, and I'm probably going to outsource that to a friend who has a precision engineering company down the road in the next door village, and just because I don't think I've got the time to do that, to learn another skill, TIG welding. I would like to know how to do that, but I'd like to try and get this car back on the road in a timely fashion as well. So that's me, John Allen, from New York for EVTV. Have another great week.
NetGain Motors, home of the Warp, Transwarp, and Impulse motors, introduced the improved Warp 9 motor. The Warp 9 is a 9 1/4 diameter series wound DC motor with a double-ended shaft featuring 26 improvements for 2010. Externally, the terminal studs have been enlarged from 3/8 to 1/2 inch diameter. Bigger is better. On the inside, a larger commutator, new brush composition, and split brush design with heavier springs handle even higher voltages and currents than before. Our new fan increases airflow by almost 50% over typical paddle-style fans, and all this translates into improved performance. For even more performance or larger applications, take a look at NetGain's Warp 11 motor, an 11 3/4 diameter series wound DC motor for even greater torque and power. Since 2002, NetGain Motors has been leading the EV industry with precision, performance, and price. Visit us at go-ev.com. NetGain Motors, warp power to go.
Oh man, you know who he needed? Hal.
I did it. How?
If anyone there doesn't know who Hal is, go back into our archives and look at a few hundred hours of video, and you'll find Hal.
Find Hal chopping out
the Mini Cooper.
Well, and then he not only didn't have the full fiberglass, because he's not doing fiberglass.
He's not, yeah.
He didn't have all that.
Didn't have the
dust,
respirator.
right? So he didn't have the respirator. But then he whips out a laser level.
Oh man!
And he's determining to the millimeter how far down his battery pack.
Battery pack's gonna go. Oh,
and he's got about 13 inches, meaning he can have a full set of 180s.
Of 180s,
which
yeah.
he's already bought.
Yeah, full set of 180s.
And have his full trunk.
Oh man, that's pretty cool.
He can have all of it below. I wouldn't do that, John. I'd stick it up an inch. Just have him go down 12.
Just for some, just for some egress.
Right. Well, it's sometimes when you go up driveways and stuff.
Yep.
See, it's not like in the middle of the car. That back into the car.
Yeah. Once the tires
turn up, then you get into things. So take an inch of that and put it in the trunk.
Yeah. If you're too low, it's a scraper. Yeah.
That's very encouraging, and he's jumping in really kind of heroically. Man, you see the grinder come out. There's no way back home.
No,
baby.
that's right. I'm going in. Cinch up the pens. We're going in.
This is one of those things. It's kind of like pulling the gas tank. We call it the Cortez and Mexico movement.
That's right.
The troops are a little restless, so burn the ships.
Burn the
ships.
ships.
No
That's
talking
right.
going home.
There'll be no going home. That's right. Burn them.
Cortez in 1511 or something.
That's right.
Mexico.
Cinch up your depends. We're going in.
Burning the ships. It's full speed ahead. We have to conquer this land or die.
That's quickly or starve. Mate with the natives.
I'm looking for good things after the first of the year from our contest winner.
Oh, that's right,
Brandon
because he's starting to
Hollinger.
work on the car. That's right.
Yeah, that,
Brandon,
very interesting.
he does some
Austin.
nice video for us too.
And so that should be
Yep.
should be good. But so we're going to continue our work with the Escalade, the Swallow, the batteries. I don't know. I'm thinking about the Mentos thing. I mean,
Oh,
that's,
we might give it a shot. You know, seagulls don't like Alka-Seltzer. It may be
That's
on the same
true.
principle.
It may be on
We
the
may,
same
maybe we need Coca-Cola and Alka-Seltzer. Maybe they don't know.
Maybe they're yeah, they don't know. how
Maybe
good
they don't
this
know the
gets.
secrets. That's right.
How about Alka-Seltzer and Mountain Dew?
That's right. It's all about chemistry, right?
It's,
Better living through
better
chemistry.
living through chemistry. I'm Jack Rickard for EVTV.
And I'm Brian Noto.
We'll see you all next week.